Hello, I am Faye the Oracle. Thank you so much for joining me here in the Manifesting 101 playlist. We are talking about I am abundance, and we are seeing what is necessary to invite abundance into the lives of our water signs, Scorpio, Pisces, and Cancer. So we're going to jump right into it. So calling on to our spirit guides, our angels, spiritual teams. Let me be a channel for our water signs. What do they need in order to live abundantly at this time? I'm going to take 6 cards. That one going to fall out. It's too many. And try one more time. Just need 2 more cards. Take these 2 since they seem they wanted to fall out. All right. Okay, all right. So first card out of the deck, we have the Four of Swords. So very much understanding this one, water signs. We are in a what it feels like has been a permanent pause for a very significant amount of time now. I hope that you have been using this time to rest, to recover, to meditate, to spend some time in quiet contemplation, to allow yourselves to lose track of everything that's going and not to be too plugged in too much, because I know that with our water signs it can be a lot for you to feel everything that is happening right now and the level of significance that you do. And I definitely don't want you guys carrying around any more than you have to, because there are definitely good things coming for you with the Four of Wands. We're talking about abundance in terms of stability, strong foundations, potentially celebrations as well. This is also a card I find to be very closely tied to love and our understandings of love in terms of family and the home. This is something that I feel as if you're inviting maybe someone new into your life, or hoping to be invited into the life of someone new, and that you will be able to find the compatibility that you need to make this either new person with a new relationship or this new life as abundant as possible. If not, I think this talks about needing to find a greater sense of stability in the midst of all that what is happening. There can also be strong ties to your family life in terms of needing to have greater ties to your family, or maybe even needing to develop a stronger relationship with some chosen family and friends. I know that as always, we are always in constant need of community and strong support, especially when dealing with a lot of significant emotional matters. And sometimes we forget that we can rely on others when the overall ocean in our terms of our mood and emotions get to be too much for us. Sometimes it helps to have these feelings shared with another person so that you can kind of take the weight off of your own shoulders to carry around so much as you do. I know you water signs, you feel so much. We have the Eight of Swords reversed. Okay, so this is great, honestly, coming in off of these other 2 fours. Apparently, you are coming together to manifest a sense of release from your own self limiting beliefs, your inhibitions, your doubts, things that were previously keeping you imprisoned when this was upright. You're freeing yourself, water signs, and I'm so very proud of you. 8 is a number of manifestation, so it looks like you're manifesting, some liberation for yourself, which is great, especially in this time that we're dealing with. It's often sometimes easy for us to forget that regardless of what is actually happening in our lives, we always have the option to try to find freedom through any means possible to us, whether that be mentally, spiritually, or emotionally, through dancing, singing, coming together with others, finding social groups online or support groups, reaching out when you're overwhelmed and needing some kind of support. These are all great ways to remove yourself from the kind of malaise that kind of comes with being so tied up by everything and being stuck inside, to being entirely too tapped into everything that's going on, and feeling like you're basically on a ride that you can't get off. And all that hard work is paying off with the Death card. Definitely talks about transformation, rebirth, renewal, letting go of the old and embracing a new life, a new experience, a new spiritual journey, even. Definitely feels like you guys are manifesting and awakening as a part of your abundance. And that's so fantastic. Oftentimes we think of abundance, we think of it being material things, but oftentimes we can find ourselves feeling more abundant, and then feeling more abundant allows you to take advantage of more opportunities and invite more abundance into your life and let it manifest physically from there. This is the kind of thing where you find yourself really wanting to clear the air with people. Maybe there have been lots of fights, or maybe you've been cutting off communication from others, as the swords are associated with words. I can definitely say that with the Eight of Swords, especially on this card, they were previously blindfolded. And now that they are freeing themselves from the tethers that held them, the blindfold is also falling away. And I can definitely say that this was much needed with the Six of Swords, which talks about leaving troubled spaces to calmer waters, transition, moving on, learning your lessons, and then finally transitioning to a place of peace after a lot of turmoil. This is the kind of thing that leads to a new identity with the Death card here. It can also talk about grief and maybe even the passing on of a loved one. And this time we've lost so many, and it's often hard to recognize that even as difficult as it feels to lose someone you love, they haven't left you completely. They've only transitioned to a different place, and they're still here with you. And learning and understand that can also mean abundance for yourself. And knowing that what you lose in someone being here physically, you gain in having another guide for you spiritually. And oftentimes I have to remind myself, even with my own loss, that they are able to do more for me now than they may have been able to do physically, with, you know, the resources being so short, or people being ill and not being able to do as much as they may have done when they were well or younger. And this is bringing, especially I have some message here for our Cancers with the Chariot card. This is bringing a greater and newer sense of direction for you. This is the kind of energy that I think that you've really been needing. And now you're able to find some kind of deeper sense of discipline, of focus, of direction, of purpose. Our purpose is so important because we are all brought here in order to discover something about ourselves that we have to offer to others. As an oracle, I receive messages from the divine and I share them out there with the universe. And by delivering on this purpose, I allow myself to receive the abundance that I want and other things that are of a great significance to me emotionally and spiritually. Walking this path has been difficult. It's left me in a place where I've had to release a lot of things, and I've had let a lot of people go, and I've had to go through a lot of lessons, all for my own very much purposeful and significant emotional growth. It can be difficult to recognize how much you have been moving forward when you feel as if you've been standing still. But it's one thing I can say for you guys, my water signs, is that you're much more likely to be able to let go and go with the flow in a way that allows manifestations to really pop up into your life. It just often comes with recognizing that by being a deeply emotional purpose, you do have a deeply emotional purpose, but being a deeply emotional person, you're able to find that sometimes your emotions can overwhelm you, and it can be easy to think that the best way to do is to drown them out or to distract yourself, and sometimes those things can help. But oftentimes I think that it comes with learning to sit into the seat of your emotions and allowing what yourself to feel and move through you, and allowing those feelings to move on, that you can come to a greater sense of understanding of yourself, which is why it's so important sometimes to share what you're going through with others. Once again, carrying around that emotional weight on your shoulders and feeling as if nobody can understand is the worst example of what to do when you're feeling overwhelmed or in a bad mood or really stuck in a rut, so to speak. This can be the kind of thing where we have all kinds of hotlines available, especially as of now, to deal with the overall crisis we've been going through, to offer people the kind of help they need when they are living in a solitary confinement that comes with being under quarantine. It can't be helped sometimes that we don't necessarily all have the ability to be readily available for everyone we do care about. But it's important that you recognize that just because someone isn't able to be readily accessible doesn't mean that they don't care about you. It just may be necessary for you to find another source in order to let out those feelings you need to let out, or that you find other things to do in terms of self-care for yourself to relieve this kind of emotional tension. That can be journaling, it can be doing and sticking to an affirmation schedule. I do affirmations every morning in the shower. And I highly recommend it for anyone who may have a harder time getting up and going about your day. Doing my affirmations in the shower allows me to set the tone for my day, but also I like to visualize myself scrubbing away and getting rid of all of the negative emotions or feelings that I may have been carrying around all day or from the day before, and to allow myself the kind of release that I deserve in order to have myself be in a more emotionally receptive place. Because a big part of manifesting does come from being in an energy of reception and acceptance. One of my go-to mantras is that I say that I surrender to the universe and all that it has in store for me. And I allow myself to do that whenever I'm experiencing anxiety, or if I don't know exactly what to do or what direction to go in. I always remind myself that everything that I'm looking for is already being made clear through my actions or through my manifestations, either by journaling or by saying it out loud, or by singing it out loud, even if I feel so inclined to do so. Dance is also another great way to manifest, especially if you come from a cultural heritage that celebrates dancing. It's a clear way to share our energy with the universe and to manifest the things that we are wanting without allowing ourselves to get too much in our head or our heart space. It's important to recognize that manifestation does require that we actually believe that we are deserving of the things that we're attempting to manifest. So if it's been difficult for you to stay in the mindset of knowing that you're deserving, or to really recognize your sense of worth, sometimes a great way to get around that is to look for ways that you can enter into a contemplative mindset and allow yourself to manifest things without feeling too attached to them. So as a part of that, I know that water is very much associated with the intuition and with feelings, and these are the kind of things that you want to use to your great advantage. If you are feeling negative emotions, remind yourself that you're tired of feeling that way. I don't want to feel depressed. I don't want to feel anxious all the time. I want change. This is the kind of thing that I oftentimes make sure I resort to whenever I'm feeling overwhelmed, so that I can acknowledge that while this is a temporary feeling, I do have all the power that I need in order to change that feeling. Because while we can't control the world and we can't control others, we can control our own actions and we can also control our feelings. And by being open to receive all of the deep well of feelings that you often have, you can find yourself in the place of also coming to a greater sense of self-knowledge and understanding. So now with that, we do have oftentimes some things that we need to sacrifice in order to manifest what we like. So I have my Angels of Emanation deck here, which I find to be very much closely tied to how I like to view my ancestors. What is it that our water signs need to sacrifice in order to manifest the abundance that they are wanting? And I call on our spirits, angels, spiritual teams. What do the water signs need to sacrifice in order to manifest their abundance here physically? And I'm going to choose one more. Okay, great. So we'll go with the first two. Okay. We have Chakma, the angel of wisdom. And then we have Da'at, null or emptiness. So definitely talks about, with Da'at, emptiness. So the Angel of Emanations deck is closely tied to Kabbalah and the Tree of Wisdom. So with that, it talks about us understanding the various aspects of ourselves that we need in order to move closer to the experience of enlightenment and then the understanding of Godhood. And Da'at is the emanation that basically sits at the center, and it is representative by emptiness, pure emptiness. is also something that I associate with the mental blankness that comes with reaching enlightenment in terms of like Buddhism as far as that's concerned. Apparently, if you meditate for long enough completely alone, you'll enter a state of complete and absolute blankness where you're just completely at one with the universe and the flow that there is. And that comes with a lot of time and dedication, but it is also something that we were born naturally capable of doing. It's usually the easiest to have happen while sleeping, so this could be a great recommendation of what you need to sacrifice is by getting more sleep. Also, in coming to a place of acceptance, like I've suggested the mantra of I surrender to the universe and all that it has in store for me, it's also important to recognize that emptiness can also be about surrendering, allowing yourself to be pulled by the flow of the universe, allowing things to flow to you and flow away from you without holding on tightly to things with attachment. Oftentimes we have to let go of old things in order to have new things come in. If you want to have a new job, you obviously have to leave your old one. If you want to have a new relationship, you may have to leave behind old patterns, behaviors, or old relationships and old friendships even. But with that sacrifice of letting go comes wisdom. And wisdom is so significant because it is different from knowledge, as in knowledge is something that you can pick up and you can learn from the experiences of others. But wisdom is something that you either are given from somebody else's experiences specifically, or most specifically is something that you gain from having experiences yourself. It's important to recognize that you have gone through things, these things have happened to you. And now that you know that these situations are possible, you're able to better direct your life to get the most positive outcome possible for yourself. And then lastly, we have Shell GL, the Angel of Snow, and Zachriel, the Angel of Memory. Both of these cards talk about a very significant point of view of letting go of everything that we once held on to. It's in the way where Shell GL talks about the bitter cold and acknowledging that while some things are uncomfortable, they are often necessary, as we have a winter in order to make way for the energy necessary for spring. And Zachriel, the Angel of Memory, talks about how we oftentimes get lost in our memories, in the past, and in the associations we have, oftentimes with past trauma. It can be very difficult to release those things, but it's something that we have to acknowledge as necessary in order to move forward with our life's purpose and with our enjoying of ourselves. Because we're not sent here to suffer. We are sent here to enjoy love, to give love, and to find peace and happiness. And a big part of peace is accepting that things that have gone on in the past are just that, in the past. You don't have to take them with you, and honestly, it's recommended that you don't. If there's at any point anything in your life that you feel like no longer serves you, or it's a memory that's hindering you in such a way that it holds you down, you can decide to rewrite your story right then and there and remove that completely from the narrative if you want. It's completely up to you. After all, it's your life, and you're not required, I should say, to keep anything that you don't need. Well, I thank you so much for joining me today, water signs, in the Manifesting 101. And as always, if you are wanting a personal reading, you can look down at this description box below. And you remember to like, subscribe. And I thank you so much for joining me today. Have a good day.